would probably cause some flack because he's bucking the system. He brought his white son to our black community to allow this kid to have grace, something that the school board didn't want to give this kid, something that that society didn't want to give this kid. And I commend the community and all those young kids who made the decision to figure out what we can do to affect this system that we do not agree with that is punishing us. The two kids and their fathers get together for breakfast. How incredible is that? Welcome, everybody. I would like to thank you for tuning in to another edition of Coach Rodo's podcast, Winning Regardless. Today, I want to talk about something that happened while I was on vacation that just, warmed my heart and just made me feel good about, two things. A, let's talk about the community. We all know how the situation in the football game with the kid that dove on the other kid and broke his back. We know about the situation and everything that happened and national attention that it got. And, what the people were saying about the father, about the family, about the kid, don't even know him. And, all of the scrutiny that this young kid took to the point where it fucked me up because the principal had no thoughts of kicking the kid out of school. Fucking superintendent superseded her and kicked the kid out of school. And I loved that while I was gone to find out that the community put some shit together and went down there in front of the school board before he decided to kick him out, and he still kicked him out. But after that, they formed another one and went down there and protested. I loved hearing how these young kids are taking what they feel as people doing them wrong to heart, to where these kids was, from what I heard, and I'm out of the country, where the kids said, fuck it then. He ain't reinstated. We're going to do a walkout on fucking Census Day. Man, that just warmed my heart because that meant that the young kids, they wrapped their arms around one of their own. They showed one of their own how much they loved him. Brought tears to my eyes because we don't have that too much. And, for that to happen the way that it did, to understand that, he's one of you. That could have been any of y'all. And the fact that the whole community stuck up for him, got him back in school, listened to his plea and understood that he was just a child. Man, I had to give it in front of the community, And so again, as I'm gone, the other thing that happened as I'm gone, I get a picture and I see a posting of, how about this? The two kids and their fathers get together for breakfast. How incredible is that? These are two kids who were put in the middle of and you could say a national controversy because the things that were said about this kid, it was terrible. Things that was said about this kid's family, his father was terrible. And for all of y'all who was posting on Facebook and all of this other shit about he's probably a fatherless child and this, that, and the third, his daddy ain't in his life or his daddy is in jail, guess what? Y'all was all wrong because guess who was in that motherfucking picture with his son smiling, just like the other kid's father was there with him smiling. And I have to give that kid's father, not the black kid's father, because I love the fact that he showed it, but I have to give the other kid's father praise because he took it upon himself to probably hear the things that was said about the other kid that did something to his kid. And this is the parent, this is the father who thought it was important enough for his son to accept the apology that this kid so much wanted to give him, that they drove down here and sat face to face, two fathers and two sons who were in the middle of a national controversy, to where this other father didn't want his son to see people like that, see another race the way that that kid was being talked about, to where he felt that he could do something about it, and he did. He brought his white son to our black community to allow this kid to have grace, something that the school board didn't want to give this kid, something that that society didn't want to give this kid. But the kid who got hurt, father, wanted to give this kid grace. So I have to commend him well, because he didn't have to. He could have followed the narrative. He could have done everything that people wanted him to do to not show, or to basically be like we are in today's society, where, you know, we hate each other and don't even fucking know why, you know, and it's, you know, I'll say it, the political climate has helped that. I mean, I find myself looking at people thinking I don't like them because I know they don't like me and they don't even know me. I mean, and I have to correct myself. I have to say, you're not that type of person. So obviously, this father felt it was worthy of his son and that kid getting together and showing that we accept his apology. He's a 15-year-old child that made a mistake. My son can forgive him. I forgive him. The two fathers, great. It was awesome to see them together. You know, I wasn't privy to the meeting. Like I said, I was out of the country, but I saw it, and I just had to speak on it because it was so terrible the way that they did it. But guess what? They didn't get no national news because, again, it's not what society wants to see. They want to see us not liking each other. They want to, I'll say it, they want to see black and white not liking each other. They can't figure out why, but they just want it to be. That there they felt gave them a reason, and that father took that reason away. He took that reason away from his son. He took that reason away from anybody who had posted anything bad or negative about the situation. He took that away. And again, there was no press about it. There was no news station there about it. They were all jumping on it when it happened. CNN and everybody. But don't nobody post what those two fathers did for those two boys. And I don't know if those two fathers understand the impact that they had on anyone in any community who knows about that situation and knows about that story. Showing that you could forgive, showing that you can give grace, understanding that this is a child who made a mistake at again. As I said, if he had to do it 100 times again, he would not do it. He would do it 0 out of 100 because it was a lesson learned. It's not being told. It's not being talked about. And I guess maybe 3 or 4 days after it happened, from enough pressure from the community, and again, I am so proud of my community. I'm so proud of, you know, what they did and standing up for this kid. News 3 here finally posted something about it. You know, one thing that we have is a hard time here in our community with the news here posting the good things that happen out of the bad. They can't wait. News 3, and I'll call them out. They can't wait to be there when something bad happens. But they don't want to retract it when they find out they're wrong. Something happened with my boy Tyrone Shepard. He still to this day can't get his name cleared for something that News 3 has. They can retract it and say, hey, we were wrong. And it was proven that they were wrong. And my man still to this day can't get his apology. And it hurts him. You know, just like I'm sure that this situation hurt our community and hurt the kids in the fact of, even when they are apologetic and trying to correct the wrong that they've made, the only thing that is focused on is the wrong that was done. And it's sad, but I'm not going to harp on that. because, we all know that that's how it is. I am just so proud of our community. It was, 'cause, I got on here when it happened and I was saying how I thought what the community should do. Tyrone Shepherd, which is one of the young kids that well, not any young anymore. I keep getting the grown man because I've known him since he was a kid. When he posted, he was the first one to make me even think about even talking to the community, even saying anything about us as a community, wrapping our arms around him. And it was, man, it was great because if you see the kids smile, he was, when they both got together and, first of all, he was elated to be back in school, you know, cause kids love school again. It's like I always used to tell my sons, man, the greatest time of my life was high school. And it's not because it was high school. It was, and not having no bills or nothing, but it was because of the relationships I had in high school. I couldn't wait to go to school and see my boys, because even though I might have seen 3 or 4 of them, because we stayed in the same neighborhood, there was a whole slew of them that I don't see every day. And we see each other in school and we can't wait. We can't wait to maybe, skip, do 2 lunches, and not get in the cafeteria because if the lunch lady catch you doing 2 lunches, they know you skipping class. So maybe we just go to our lunch, and we skip for the other lunch. We on our boys' lunch. We outside in the parking lot or in their car. We rolling around. But the thing about it is, this kid was just happy to be back in school, to be with his friends, to be amongst his peers, and it was great to see the smile on both of them's face. It was great to see the smile on the kid who got hurt face. Like he understood what he had did. He understood that he tore down a barrier that was created that he didn't even want it to happen on purpose. What he did and his father did was show that they understood that it was in the sport of play, and that kid didn't mean to do it, and he was very apologetic, and the repercussions for what happened were horrible, horrible. And for them to drive an hour down to our city to have a breakfast with a kid who the country or whoever, not the whatever, everybody opinion should be incarcerated, should be in juvenile, should be blah 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 blah, to drive down here to show that the kid who the atrocity was recipient of it don't feel that way. It was a powerful thing, man. It shows you that we as grown-ups got it fucked up. You know what I'm saying? Not the kids. And those 2 fathers showed us how much we as grown-ups got it fucked up because of the way that we talked about that 15-year-old child. And that kid who got hurt probably never even talked about him the way that grown-ass people did. And it's obvious because he wouldn't have came down. If he felt that way, I don't even think his father would have pressed him to come down here for that. But I don't believe that kid felt that way. I believe that kid came down here understanding that, man, we're 15-year-old kids. This was a football game. He did it. He was apologetic, but I don't think he meant to hurt me. And it's in the sport of play. And I don't like what's happening and what's being said about this kid because that could have been me. I'm not saying that that's what the kid thought, but perhaps that is what he thought. And it don't really matter what he thought. Because to me, to see the smile on both of them's face was so genuine. A smile of a bond and maybe a friendship that they can now have that came from a tragedy. Because let's face it, the things that was said about the kid who committed the infraction was a tragedy, man. It all the way around. And it was the grown-ups. It wasn't even the kids. It was the damn grown-ups. Horrible. We gotta do better. Black, white, Asian, I don't give a fuck what color you are. I don't care what race you are. We got to do better as a society, as a people, as a human beings. You know, I don't understand how we've got to the point where we don't even show forgiveness and kindness towards children. We needed children to show us that we're making a bigger deal out of the situation than they are. And to me, that's what they did. And again, those fathers allowing those two boys to get together and talk. And you can see it was genuine. You can see it wasn't for a camera because there was no fucking camera there. The camera, apparently the picture that was taken was from the community leaders. And how great was that? You know, I mean, I don't know if you guys know, but this kid is from an area where, you know, sometimes we don't go. Come all the way down to an area where, you know, sometimes they might not go, and felt comfortable enough to come to that area of tension, of of anger, and at the end jubilation, and sit down and have breakfast with someone who did harm to you, but understanding that we both 15-year-old kids playing football, and it happened, and that's the thing that sports teach. Sports teaches you forgiveness. You know, you understand that things happen in the sport of play, in the players, you know, when you're playing sports. And that's what this 15-year-old kid who was hurt understood. And he wanted to bring peace to a situation that was so highly volatile. You know, again, I'm very disappointed in our school system, not the principal of our school. And I'm not saying that because her son is my producer, but, you know, he knows that I'm a real person. But he and I talked, and he said suspension was never on his mother's mind because his mother has sons and they were 15 and they weren't perfect, and understanding that they needed grace. This kid needed grace. So it was the school board that made the decision. And it was a messed up decision that you made. And I'm glad that them students came at y'all the way that they did. And I'm glad that those students took this situation in their own hands and made it what it was, which was, you don't think that we can affect you by your decision. You keep this decision, we'll show you how it will affect you. Up, reinstated. How fucking powerful is that from a community? We just got to get more communities of color to stand up for our kids, stand up for your kid, and, you know, just give grace like those two kids did, like the one kid from Lakeshore did. Again, I commend him. I appreciate him. I commend his father. I appreciate his father. And again, for all of y'all who was saying he's fatherless, his daddy's in jail, this, that, and the third, y'all got egg on your face. Because the father was standing right there with his son, with the other father and son. And how great was that? You didn't see his father when his father came up there and told them not to kick his son out of school, begged them not to, but they did, even though y'all was saying he was in jail. And he, you know, that's another thing. That's another story. He was still showed up for his son though, but y'all didn't want to, y'all just still wanted to continue to say bad things about his father. But guess what? You got to see a picture of his father there. So we know he ain't in jail. We know he ain't good. We know he's not missing. We know he's not fatherless, as a lot of the things that were said. We know his father's not a drug addict, an alcoholic. I mean, some of the things that I saw said about his father was ridiculous. A man who just had a son who made a mistake was also dragged through the mud. And it was great to see him there, to see those two fathers' smiles that were so genuine, that weren't fake, that weren't for the camera because again, the camera wasn't there. It was great. And again, I applaud our community. I applaud the young man for not allowing the system, even though it's a school system, the system to determine what his future outcome is going to be based on a decision that they made that was fucked up. His decision was a mistake. They're grown-ups. They fucking knew better. And I commend the community and all those young kids who made the decision to figure out what we can do to affect this system that we do not agree with, that is punishing us, systematically figuring it out and putting it to action. I commend y'all. I commend that father from Lakeshore for taking the time to figure out how to get in touch with that father and son so that he could bring his son down to allow his son to hear the apology from the other young man. And I applaud the young man from Lakeshore for even coming down here, because he probably caught flack from his teammates. He probably caught flack from his community. See, that's the other side that we don't look at. The white boy probably caught some flack because he's bucking the system. He's allowing him to apologize. He's allowing him to change the narrative of what we already think about them. No, don't do that. Don't do that. I applaud that kid for saying, fuck y'all. I'm going to go do it because I deserve an apology from this young man, and he deserved the opportunity to give it to me. And obviously it was genuine, because if you saw the smiles again of both of them boys, you know that shit was real. So I would like to thank you again for tuning in to another interesting conversation on Coach Rodo's podcast, Winner Regardless. And you can find us anywhere you listen to your podcast.